Tonight's debate is the most crucial yet in the process of choosing a Republican nominee. The underbrush of the race has been cleared away. It's no longer a 14 or 15 or 16 person field. The very minor candidates are still in it, but nobody's paying much attention. And the formerly major candidates who faded have faded for good. Fiorina, Bush could come back because he has all that money, but it's be tough for him to do that. And the field has been reduced. Even Carson, who was up there and absorbing a whole lot of the votes, has fallen from 27 to 11 in the last few polls. And I think that he's on his way down to a very small number, single digits, or maybe zero. Once that field is cleared, we can focus on the three main candidates, Trump, Cruz, and Rubio. Each of them have very important missions to perform tonight. Trump's is to be Trump. Trump's job is to be assertive, iconoclastic, unusual, occasionally funny, to put down his rivals in a way that mocks them and leads them to be ridiculed, and continue to be Trump. Trump exists not because of his strategic or substantive distinction, but stylistic, and his job is to continue to be Trump, and show toughness on terror, and manifest that toughness against ISIS rather than against necessarily any of his rivals. While he should put his rivals down, it's good for him. He should reserve his real venom and his real strength for America's enemies and show how valuable he would be were he to be president. Cruz's job is to show that he's just like Trump, but a little more reasonable. His job is to narrow the synapse, think of the idea of a synapse, between himself and Trump, so that voters can easily make the jump over the synapse, not a big wide synapse of a large issue difference, but a very narrow one of stylistic difference and issue similarity. And that's why he's been sort of running in Trump's shadow, because he wants to make it easier for Trump voters to go over to him. The other thing he has to do is to maintain an edge of toughness against Rubio. The last New York Times poll asked voters, how confident are you that Trump and then Cruz and then Rubio and Bush would be in fighting terror? How confident you are that they do a good job of that? And 40% said Trump would be, 30% said Cruz would be, 20% said Rubio would be, and 13% said Carson, and 9% said Bush, and so on. But the important thing is that there's a 10-point gap here between Rubio and Cruz. Ultimately, it is the ISIS attacks that have dropped Carson from contention and that have pushed Rubio down and that have exalted Cruz and continued to exalt Trump. The candidates need to maintain that edge. Rubio's job is to catch up in terms of toughness, to show that he's just as tough as Cruz, just as strong, and really close that gap. Rubio's problem is that he has to fight a two-front war. It's not only that he has to show he's tough against ISIS, but that he's tough on immigration, despite his former support of amnesty. So that's a tough mission, and so far Rubio's been really unable to do that. Now, this is the first debate where the race assumes its cast, where instead of just looking at the whole thing, it assumes a mold that then will largely imprint itself as the months of the race evolve. And the mold at this point is Cruz and Trump fighting it out for first, Rubio climbing to try to get into that circle, and Carson falling out of it. Carson's fall so far has been the strategic key to this race in the last 3 or 4 weeks, because he's been like the vote bank that a lot of the evangelicals and a lot of the conservatives were in. And as Carson has fallen because people feel that he's not strong enough or equipped enough to fight against ISIS, his votes have been released, largely going to Cruz and animating his surge in the polling. The evangelicals wouldn't go to Trump because he hasn't had that kind of life, whereas they would go to Cruz because he has. And that makes Trump and Cruz competitive with each other and leads to the current situation. So we'll talk after the debate. We'll talk tomorrow morning, and we'll see how they did. Thanks for watching.